Silent witnesses of time, these artifacts are vessels echoing whispers from history's depths. Millennia ago, this round coin with a square hole had just begun its journey from China. It has since rested for centuries in Uzbek Lus. This treasure, once belonging to Central Asian nobility of the Wei Jin dynasties, now bridges civilizations across time.
我这个呢，就是我们去年在乌兹别克斯坦发掘出土的几枚这个圆形方孔钱，当时有这个绳线绑缚的这个痕迹，我们后来清理了以后呢，明显能看出来，就是这个钱上有明显的钱纹，非常清楚的五铢2个字。
Liu Tao is the leader of the Central Asia archaeological team from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Last year, he and his team unexpectedly uncovered an ancient Chinese coin, sparking new questions on the circulation of currency and cultural transmission. Back home in China, he visited Tianjin Museum to study the coins there and chart 1,000 years of trade history.
一个半两，一个5铢，一个开元，一个崇宁。
From the earliest cowries, shell money, to knife money, and on to modern machine-struck coins produced by Tianjin's Beiyang Mint. Artifacts in this museum tangibly chronicle the evolution of Chinese currency. Liu Tao's focus today is these round coins with square holes. Unique in shape, they circulated both the East and West. In 221 BC, the first emperor of the Qin dynasty conquered the warring states, unifying China. He then made the far-reaching decision to standardize currency with the Qin Banliang coin. Notably, the coin embodies the ancient Chinese cosmic view of a round heaven and square earth.
我们中国人自古以来就有天圆地方的这么一个认识，而且钱又是统治者，又是国家颁布的，这个国家的法定货币，在这个钱上天地人三才一统。这个圆形方孔钱这个形态呢，一直就到我们晚清，都成了我们中国文化非常重要的一个符号，也随着丝路上文化交流、人群迁移的频繁和加强，也逐渐地走出了我们中国。
In Uzbekistan, where the Amu and Sir rivers flow, oases have long nurtured civilizations. In the heart of Central Asia, this was one of the busiest stops on the ancient Silk Road. To its west lies what was once Persia. The south leads to India, and its east connects to China, merging three ancient civilizations. In 2012, Liu Tao and his team followed the Silk Road to carry out fieldwork. Years of experience have familiarized him with the history's whispers rising from the dust. Yet this Chinese coin unearthed in Uzbekistan still moved him deeply.
中国人在国外亲手发现，我们中国原产的这个文物，这种激动，这种兴奋，然后还有这个毛线绳编缀着这个痕迹，那可能作为装饰品的使用，已经超越了它的货币流通的价值，反映出了他们对于这个钱币背后所代表的中华文化高度的认可。
Liu Tao's Uzbek collaborator is 71-year-old Amruddin Bedimuradov. He's the former director of the National Center of Archaeology at the Academy of Sciences of the Republic of Uzbekistan, and is also a renowned Central Asian archaeologist. Amruddin Bedimuradov now leads new excavations at the Afrasiab site in Samarkand. Since the 6th century BC, this ancient city has embodied Central Asia's brilliant civilization. Some of its founders were the Sogdians, renowned for their trade caravans that traversed Eurasia. With keen business acumen, they traded silk and porcelain from the east for gems and glassware from the west. Within this trade network's development, Samarkand became a vital hub.
Xitoydan boshlanib, Markaziy Osiyo davlatlar hududidan o'tib, bir qismi Arab mamlakatlariga, ikkinchi qismi Yevropaga ketgan. Ayniqsa bizning ajdodlarimiz Suudliklar bu yo'lda juda faol bo'lganlar. Aynan Xitoy bilan Suud Markaziy Osiyoni iqtisodiy, madaniy aloqalari Tan imperiyasida kuchaygan.
On this commerce route, the round coin with a square hole served as much-needed currency, spreading from China's central plains to the world, while bearing witness to trans-regional exchanges. In 621 AD, the first emperor of the Tang dynasty, Li Yuan, cast the Kaiyuan Tongbao coin. Discarding earlier weight-based coins, which were inconsistent in size and weight after years of warfare and disunity, Emperor Li Yuan implemented a symbolic rather than weight-based currency system. Kaiyuan Tongbao coins have a uniform shape and weight, making them easy to count and circulate. No scales were needed, and so transaction costs fell, allowing trade to flourish. This further advanced the Tang rulers' ambition to shape a new era. Kaiyuan Tongbao coins became the Tang Empire's calling card, conveying strength and confidence to the wider world, all while conveniently serving as currency along the Silk Road.
Рыночные отношения основываются на стабильности денег. К этому моменту в Средней Азии не существовало единой монетной системы. И сбалансированной китайской монетной системы и содержание металла в ней чрезвычайно важные показатели, которые контролируются именно государственной стороной.
For the Sogdians, whose development relied on commerce, coins were not just tools for exchange, but also their ticket into larger trade networks. From the 7th century, the city-states of Kang, An, and Mi, together with 6 other city-states collectively known in Tang Dynasty as the 9 surnames of Jiao Wu, also began creating round coins with square holes. The Turgesh Khaganate soon adopted a similar design.
本来这些地区，他们以金银的打制式货币作为他们主要的流通货币，所以你看，我们这个非贵金属的货币能够在域外流行，它能够仿造，本身是我们中国国力的一种表现。因为你使用这个，它能用啊，能和中国做生意啊，中国这么一个庞大的市场都认可这个东西。
At the Afrasiab Museum, locally cast round coins with square holes are separated from Tianjin Museum's Kaiyuan Tongbao coins by thousands of miles, yet they echo each other. Under the microscope, these coins bear the names of Sogdian kings. Shishpir, Tarkun, Gurak. These thin coins are more than simple imitations of shape and form. They were an expression of allegiance with China's order. Painted mural panels in the museum's Hall of the Ambassadors serve as 1,300-year-old records of the Kang king receiving foreign envoys. The left depicts the Tang Empress Wu Zetian during Dragon Boat Festival with rice dumplings to lure carp. The right displays the Tang Emperor Gaozong hunting leopards. Both radiate Tang majesty. Eastern imperial glow meets westbound camel bells. In these pigments, civilizations resonate.
Endi buni suvda taqizgandan keyin shakli dumaloq, o'rtasida kvadrat teshigi bor. Endi iyeroglif o'rniga so'qchi yozuvlar bor bu yerda.
Though over 70 years old, Amruddin Badimiridov continues his journey through the world of archaeology. Today, he will drive 8 hours from Samarkand to southern Uzbekistan's Surkhandarya region, where he will join his Chinese archaeological collaborators. Northwest University's Central Asia Archaeological Team and Collaborative Research Center for Archaeology of the Silk Road, led by Professor Wang Jianxin, are excavating the site of a 2,000-year-old city. Over a decade ago, tracing the migration of the Yuezhi, they journeyed from the Hersi corridor to Central Asia, launching joint excavations with Uzbek contemporaries. They challenged the view that the Yuezhi founded the Kushan Empire through buried civilizations, awoken layer by layer.
那么通过我们的研究，我们发现，古代月支人跟古代贵霜人不是一群，分布地域不一样，经济方式不一样，埋葬方式不一样，宗教信仰都不一样。丝绸之路研究必须还要加上东方视角，我们有3000多年历史文献的背后的支撑，再加上我们要去获取田野考古的第一手资料，这样我们对丝绸之路认识才能是完整的、全面的、准确的。
Through a decade of summers and winters, this China-Uzbek team has pursued elaborate research. Through the study of coins, artifacts, and city ruins, they have composed a full chronicle of over 2 millennia in the Surkhan River basin. A 1,000 kilometers away, Khiva was restored by Chinese and Uzbek experts. Under the principle of repairing the old as old, this once faded Silk Road gem has been restored to its former splendor. Uzbekistan, nurtured by both the Eastern and Western civilizations, links the glories of the ancient Silk Road with the new chapters of China-Uzbek cooperation.
Aynan mana shu buyuk ipak yo'li savdo aloqalari bilan bog'laydigan millatlararo mana shu madaniyatlararo almashinuvlarni biz bilamiz. Biz Xitoy bilan qadimdan azaliy do'st bo'lganmiz, qadimiy aloqalarimiz bo'lgan va shu bir yo'l bir kamar degan shu shior ostida butun O'zbekistonning hamma hududlari mana shu nima bo'yicha ish olib boryapti.
As an archaeologist, Liu Tao continues to unravel the cultural DNA of the round coin with square hole. He will soon set out once again on a new excavation. Though in his 70s, Amruddin Badimiridov still brushes history from layered sands, uncovering time's buried traces, outlining vivid silhouettes of Silk Road caravans. Following the trail of the ancient round heaven square earth coins along the Silk Road, China and Uzbekistan converge, their civilizations shining in mutual splendor, eternally undimmed.